We're gathered here today to protest the mounting atrocities that Israel's carrying out in Gaza and threatening to do the same in the West Bank. All of Palestine is under siege. Gaza is being carpet bombed. 1,000 children have been killed by the Israeli war machine. Nothing justifies what Israel's doing. This is collective punishment of an entire people in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Palestine, and we're here to say it's got to end. Stop the war. Withdraw all Israeli forces. Stop the U.S. funding of this war machine that's committing a genocide. And we have to now move to a totally different way of organizing things in the Middle East. We're calling for people all across the United States to rise up in solidarity with Palestine, to link arms with their sisters and brothers and siblings, Palestinian Americans, Muslim Americans, Arab Americans, who are threatened, with all their civil rights being taken away yet again, just like after 9/11, where Palestine and speaking for Palestine is being criminalized on college campuses, in workplaces, and in communities all across this country. It is now time to say enough is enough. No more genocide, not in our name, not with our tax dollars. Stop the U.S. funding of the Israeli war machine.
And it's not simply a question of different reviews. Forget emotions, this is what spit is the truth. Makes no difference if you're a Christian or if you're a Jew. It's just people living in different conditions to you. They still die when you don't listen. This is for the child that is searching for the answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza.
Whatever you want.
Hello, I'm Cliff, and I grew up in the cornfields of Ohio, but when working on my master's degree, I had an opportunity to spend an academic year in Jerusalem back in 77, 78. So I've been following this for a long time, folks, and it gets worse and worse for the Palestinians. This last fall, I was over in Palestine for 2 months and got to see what was happening on the ground. And the No Way to Treat a Child program by American Friends Service is correct in how the children are being treated. And what's happening now in Palestine and especially Gaza is really yucky. And since that young age of 26 to now that I'm over 70 years old, I've seen those dynamics happening in the United States. So what's been happening to the Palestinians during the Nakba is now a part of our government and what's happening to people here in the United States. And more importantly, I've been able to watch the Kahanites, followers of Rabbi Meir Kahane, take a hold in Israel. And so they're going to be called the Kahanites. They now have 2 of their people on Netanyahu's cabinet. And also former President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He is a Kahanite, and his father was one of Rabbi Meir Kahane's right-hand people. And so also the city of David Dig outside the old city walls and where the Temple Mount is in Jerusalem, those are Kahanites, and they started their own archaeological group so that they could take land from the Palestinians. And now they they have the City of David dig, and they just put the longest bridge across the valley there in the world for people to walk across. So they are planning, and they're planning to do more.
After atrocity upon atrocity has been committed on the people of Palestine by the Israeli army with the full backing of the United States, with the full of Joe Biden, who was seen today hugging Benjamin Netanyahu, one of the most racist right-wing politicians in the history of Israel. And we are here to say no. We do not support the genocide in Gaza. We are here to say no. We do not support the funding by the U.S. government of this genocidal war in Gaza. We're here to say free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine!
We're here today. We're here today. Oh, by the way, my name is Ashley Smith. I'm a member of the Tempest Collective, and I've been organizing around Palestine for many, many years. But today, I think we're at a turning point, both in terms of the horror of what Israel is doing. They are not doing nothing less than a second Nakba, a second attempted ethnic cleansing of Gaza, and they have eyes also on the West Bank. This is an atrocity being committed before our eyes, and in reality, the world is waking up to that fact. Hundreds of thousands of people marched over the weekend. Thousands of people marched in the United States. Today, there was the largest Jewish protest against the state of Israel in the history of the United States. Thousands and thousands of Jewish anti-Zionists marched on the Capitol building. Not only did they march on the Capitol building, they are occupying the Capitol building rotunda. They are chanting, like we just did, free, free Palestine. That is a historic achievement. We are seeing an awakening of people around the world, not only the already convinced, but new people who have witnessed 10 days of atrocities. Now it's 12 days of atrocities. And they witnessed the bombing of a school yesterday, the bombing of a hospital that Israel's trying to blame on the victims of the bombing, and yet another crazy groupthink that they do. What we are here to say today is this cannot be done in our name. This cannot be done with our money. Never again means never again for everybody. Nobody should be subjected to this state terrorism. We are also here today to call on the politicians to act and do the right thing. There is a bill making its way into the Congress, if the Republicans can ever decide who runs Congress, because right now they can't decide between which wing of the far right should control the House of Representatives. If they decide upon a leader, there's a bill coming that will propose $10 billion more in funding the Israeli war machine to carry out this state terrorism in Gaza. We call on Bernie Sanders, whose office is up there, to vote against that bill. Anybody with conscience should vote against that bill. Already the squad is introducing a bill for a ceasefire. They should vote for that bill, not for funding Israeli state terrorism. And we are going to march today down to Rebecca Ballant's office and demand the same thing of her. And if we could, we'd march to Peter Welch's office and say, Peter, you must vote against the funding of state terrorism against the people of Gaza. The reality is that if we want the change, it's not going to come from the boardroom. It's not going to come from the White House. It's not going to come from Congress. It's going to come from a mass movement that we build in this country that shakes the foundations of the country and says, no, we are going to march. We are going to sit in. We are going to do mass civil disobedience until this slaughter stops. That's how change has always been won. That's how we got the right to vote. That's how we won civil rights. That's how we won the 8-hour day, is mass demonstrations, mass protests, mass strikes like we're seeing the United Auto Workers do. We need that kind of militancy to shut down weapons shipments that the U.S. will be sending from the ports of the United States to Israel. We want the longshoremen of this country to go on strike and to refuse to deliver that war materiel for genocide in Gaza. And we have to be clear about what our demands are today. We are for the immediate end to this war on Gaza. We want aid supplied in mass quantities to people who have been under siege without water, food, and electricity for over 12 days. Children, I heard, are writing their names on their arms because they want to know that their families can recover them and find them if they're killed in Israel's bombings. We want the bombing to stop and the aid to start. And we also have to defend civil liberties for Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims in this country who are under siege right now. The Zionists up at University of Vermont are trying to stop Mohammed El-Kurd, one of the most important Palestinian journalists, from speaking up at the university. We have to defend his right to speak truth to the power of the U.S. state and the Zionist war machine. We have to defend every Palestinian who's being threatened with getting laid off from their job, being denied being hired, being threatened with tenure, being denied the right to speak, the right to assemble. We will not tolerate this. They did it after 9/11. We will not let them get away with it this time. And we are for launching a new campaign, a revitalized campaign for boycott, divestment, and sanctions against the state of Israel. That is our most important contribution as people in this country, because we know that Israel could not get away with their crimes without the full support of the U.S. state and the corporations that collaborate with this genocide in Gaza. So we've got to redouble our efforts for BDS, for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And most importantly, we have to immediately stop the funding of this war machine that's going into full gear right now in Gaza. What was that?
We all need to stop paying taxes.
Yeah. Don't pay taxes for the war machine, in other words. All right. So our plan today is to have a few speakers, which I'll introduce in a second, and we'll lead some chants about Bernie Sanders stopping the war funding for the state of Israel. Then we're going to march down to Becca Balant's office and demand the same. Then we're going to march down to the bottom of Church Street back here, and we'll have a speak out so people can speak their minds. And I just want to end by saying we mourn everybody who's being killed in this catastrophe, a catastrophe wrought by U.S. imperialism, by European imperialism, and the settler colonial state of Israel. If that didn't exist, none of these atrocities would be happening. We mourn everybody, but we are going to fight like hell for the living and for the free liberation of Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for Israel's crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes. All right, I want to introduce Wafiq Faour, Many people know him. If you don't know him, you should know him. He's one of the heroic fighters for Palestinian liberation here in the state of Vermont, a true civil rights leader, somebody who's always there no matter what the cause is. He is there on the front lines fighting for our collective liberation. Please welcome Wafiq Faour.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, brothers. Siblings, sisters and brothers, Palestine called for you and Burlington showed up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to tell you that it's very hard for me to speak now. It is very personal. It is not a slogan. Maybe I will scream, stop the war, stop the slaughter, stop the genocide. But let's talk from human to human. We are living in a country with different political view, but when it comes to Palestine, from the progressive, liberal, Democrat, and Republican, they are marching in support of Zionist State of Israel, supporting occupation, supporting apartheid, and not only giving them the money, and they are in hurry in the Congress to select leader to send the money. The only reason, read the news, to send money and aid to Israel. Israel have been occupying Palestine for 75 years. My family have been refugee outside Palestine for 75 years. 2/3 of Gaza who are living in Gaza are third generation and second generation of Palestinians being refugees for 75 years. I'm sorry to tell you, the American public and political elites trying to be deaf about this question. And now they are following the propaganda and the lies of the Israeli machine by saying that Palestinian resistance are responsible for the genocide and the bombing of the Anglican hospital on the center of Gaza. And again, President Biden, when he arrives from the plane, he said, yes, they did that. The same when he said, yes, they slaughtered 40 Israeli babies. The propaganda is working. Majority of the Americans believing that, and the real slaughter is Palestinian children and women. Over 1,000 children now. Over 4,000 Palestinians get killed now, and more than 1,000 under the rebels. And who sent the bombs to Israel? Whose planes? Which F-35, F-16 are killing us? It's the American. You have a responsibility. You have a responsibility. I like to say thank you for coming today, but I'm scared and afraid that I'm not going to see you tomorrow because you're not going to show up. But the Palestinians going to continue to live this war until the end of occupation. Are you going to show up?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you going to stand with Palestine?
Yes.
Are you going to talk to your representatives?
Yes.
Are we going to build a movement, real serious movement, and not be selective about who have the justice and who has not? There is something about the American, and I will say it, not in general, white Americans especially. They are selective. You like to support what you call civilized people. Palestinians and Muslim Arabs, they are not in that category in your dictionary. If we want to talk human rights, please wake up. Commit to something. You are killing us. Seriously, your money killing us. Your weapons killing us. Your politicians, including the man upstairs, killing us. Thank you.
What do we want? BDS. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
BDS.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
BDS.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
BDS.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
BDS.
When do we want it?
Now.
All right, we're going to have a few more speakers. If people want to speak, come talk to me while other people are speaking, because we want this to be an open mic for people to speak about what they're going through and what they're wanting from this country and for what they want to change in the Middle East. So think that over. We'll have an open mic for people to speak, and we encourage everybody to do that. Next, I got Damien from the PSL.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for being out here. This is what we need. Next time we're coming out here, we need to be bringing 10, 20 more people with us each. But I wanted to start with a quote by George Jackson, and it's time for us to settle our quarrels, come together, understand the reality of our situation, understand that fascism is already here and that people are already dying who could be saved, that generations more will live poor, butchered half-lives if you fail to act. We are here today to demand the end of apartheid in Palestine, to demand the end of settler colonial occupation, and to demand our government immediately stop support and funding for the ethnic cleansing and extermination of the Palestinian people. We stand in unwavering solidarity with the Palestinian people. We recognize their tireless struggle for justice, freedom, and the right to determine their own destiny. This struggle has endured for generations, born out of the history of genocide, oppression, and suffering that defies any justification for the displacement and decimation of an entire nation. It is overly idealistic to demand nonviolence in the face of such oppression. How can we expect Palestinians to embrace nonviolence when their peaceful appeals have consistently been met with brutality and death? We have unashamed support for Palestinian resistance. If we are for ending colonialism in this world, we must not let our support waver. Let us not forget that USA has supported apartheid in South Africa, just as it supports similar policies in Palestine. The USA often vilifies the true victims to gain consent for their slaughter, even branding Nelson Mandela as a terrorist. And when Nat Turner led the rebellion against the horrors of slavery, some masters' children tragically lost their lives. But did that diminish the moral imperative of seeking freedom? We say no, it was their right to rebel. Similarly, Native Americans facing existential threats from the settlers occasionally took prisoners in their struggle against colonization. Does this mean they should not have resisted? I think we can all agree. It was their human right to resist. The situation in Palestine is no different, and as working-class U.S. citizens who contribute our hard-earned tax dollars, we carry a profound responsibility. Let us take back the power of our work. We must take a stand and raise our voices against the injustices fueled by our government's support for Israel's actions, and it is imperative that we speak out, engage in empathetic and constructive conversations, and remain resolute in our commitment. We must stay in the streets until Palestine is free. One last question to each and every one of you, and in simple terms, if you were a slave and I your master, and the only thing standing in between you and your freedom was me, your master, would you not strike a blow to kill me for your freedom? I think we all know the answer there. Resistance to occupation is a human right. It is our duty to step forward and confront the injustices of our time. And when we look back on this critical moment in history, let us be certain that we did everything within our power to end these atrocities. So to end George Jackson's quote, we must do what must be done. Discover your humanity and your love in revolution. Free Palestine.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
from the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Just want to say April is going around collecting email addresses for people who want to be a part of ongoing organizing. April, can you raise your hand so people see you? Yep. If you want to get on a list, we're going to start organizing for big marches here in Vermont. We need a statewide rally in Montpelier to free Palestine. We need everybody who's in a group to get involved, individuals to get involved, because all of us are going to be judged by history. Which side were you on? And we have to be on the right side, not just in witnessing what's going on, but in doing something to stop it from continuing. So get on that sign-up sheet that, well, it's a sign-up phone. It's the digital 21st century sign-up sheet. I've got Nolan Rampy next from the Tempest Collective. And I encourage, especially women and other gender non-conforming people, to speak, to participate in this rally. We want it to be as broad as possible. So if you want to come and speak, just come and talk to me.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. This is really fantastic. I want to point out that right now, 2.2 million people in Gaza are without food, are without water, are without fuel. Hospitals have been bombed, schools have been bombed, people are dying every day. And right now, Israel is only getting warmed up. The worst of these atrocities are still to come. And this is just an escalation of what Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank have faced every single day for decades. In the West Bank, regular settler attacks, murdering Palestinian people, oftentimes with the assistance of the IDF. Gaza, since 2005, has been living in an open-air prison, dying from a lack of medical care and lack of resources, with no end in sight. And for the first time in a long time, on October 7th, they fought back against that oppression. Now, you would never know that listening to the media. According to the media, this attack came out of nowhere. And now the question is whether Israel should have the right to defend itself. You cannot claim that it is self-defense. When you are oppressing an entire group of people, when you are denying their basic human rights, when you are stealing their water, when you are keeping them in inhumane conditions, call it what you like, but it is not self-defense. Because we know that Palestinians have the right to resist by any means necessary when they are under the conditions that they are under, when they are under occupation. And it's because you won't hear about it in the media that it is so important that we are here today making our voices heard, and that we are joining with people all around the country and all around the world to push back against the narratives that we hear from our politicians and in mainstream media. And it's going to take all of us continuing to struggle, because this has been going on long before the events that are currently happening, and this struggle will continue long after. I am so thrilled to see so many young people here today, college students. If you are in college right now, get involved in Students for Justice in Palestine. Start struggling on your campus. It is a hotbed of activity and a primary place for struggle. And so I would encourage you, get involved. I'm so thrilled that you're out here today, but get involved. Start organizing. There is so much work to be done. So thank you again for coming out today, and I hope to see you at all the rallies out in the future. Solidarity.
Israel, Israel, what do you say? How many kids did you kill today? Israel, Israel, what do you say? How many kids have you killed today? Israel, Israel, what do you say?
How many kids did you kill today?
Israel, Israel, what do you say? How many kids have you killed today? As of last count, Israel has murdered at least 1,000 children in the last 12 days. That's the scale of atrocity that Biden is embracing when he embraces a war criminal like Benjamin Netanyahu. When you look at that, I have to say, Biden is not my president. I do not respect anybody who would have the gall to legitimize and embrace a political leader like Benjamin Netanyahu, who even Israeli citizens were marching against just 3 weeks ago in the millions, wanting him fired. What in the world is happening when you've got Biden embracing Netanyahu? That is unbelievable to witness. Next, we have Lucien Quiñones to speak.
Hi. Like he said, my name is Lucien Quiñones. I'm a member of the Young Socialist Democrats at UVM. I'm a freshman, and I just want to speak a little bit as a young person how important young people are in movements like this. You know, back in when the South African apartheid was still prevalent, the students at UVM demonstrated on the campus green. We sat for as long as it took. We protested all the time until the apartheid was done. And I think a lot of people don't realize that Palestine is a modern day apartheid, you know, and we have to stand up against that. We have to do something. It's just crazy how many people just don't even care. And on the topic of youth being central to this movement, you know, we all know that over 50% of the inhabitants of Gaza are children. I think that's important to keep in mind. You know, just like me, I'm a young college student. I'm just figuring out what I want to do with my life. I'm figuring out what my hopes and my dreams are for the future, what I want things to look like for myself, you know, and 50% of Gazans are doing that right now. The average age in Gaza is 19. That's 1 year older than me. And I think it's important to realize that these people that are being bombed daily, they have hopes and dreams. They have things that they want to do with their life. They have things they wish for the freement of their people. They wish to see a better day for the Gazan citizens. I think everybody who is complacent in this, everybody who doesn't stand up, everybody who doesn't say something, everybody who doesn't try and educate their friends, everybody who doesn't try and educate themselves, I believe that in the future, they deserve to be haunted by the faces of these children that are being killed brutally. They deserve to be haunted by their hopes and their dreams. They deserve to think about it every day, and I just want to keep putting it out there to just haunt these people forever and ever, because this is what they're doing. Being complacent is the same as supporting the killing of these youth that are just like me as I stand up here. So, yeah.
Thank you, Lucy. That was great. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Palestine will never die. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Palestine will never die. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Next, we have Wafiq on a repeat performance, who is going to talk about this incredibly significant petition that we are organizing for the city of Burlington, so that the city of Burlington can be put to the test. Which side is Burlington on? The people of Palestine or the Israeli state? Here's Wafiq.
Thank you, Ashley. One question. How many residents of Burlington standing up with us? How many residents? How many registered to vote? If you didn't sign this petition, which is calling Israel is an apartheid state, we tried before a year and a half ago to pass a resolution for the human rights, equal rights for the Palestinians, for our right for freedom of speech and right of BDS, boycott, divestment, sanctions. The council members get scared from the Israeli Zionist lobby, and Weinberger promised he will veto that resolution. Weinberger, again, he stand against this resolution, but this resolution is different. It's not going to the council. This resolution going back to the residents and citizens of Burlington to vote for it in March 5. So if you are a resident and registered to vote, please come and sign the petition, because we need at least 1,600 signatures to put it on the ballot. Already we have over 600, so let's make it today, please.
On that petition, if we get it on the ballot, that doesn't guarantee it will pass. So what we've got to do with that petition is organize educational events in your workplace, in your place of worship, in your neighborhood, in your condo building, in your dorm. We need everybody to get educated about Palestine, because we are dealing with a Zionist propaganda machine that is located in the White House, the State Department, the State of Israel, and much of the Congress and all of the media. If you watch CNN, it's like Zionist News Network. It's unbearable to watch such one-sided coverage of an atrocity that they dress up as seeking justice for the State of Israel, an act of self-defense. Since when is killing 1,000 children in 12 days an act of self-defense? Children? This is unbelievable. So we have to educate everybody around us, because I think people are waking up. What is going on before our eyes? People are witnessing something that's unprecedented in their living memory, watching a state on real time bomb civilians, level whole hospitals, schools, neighborhoods, drive 500,000 people from their homes. That is radicalizing people, but it doesn't give people the politics to understand it. So we have to petition, educate, organize. We have to do all of those things, because nothing is guaranteed, and it will be settled in the streets and the workplaces through struggle. Okay, now we're going to march down Church Street, chanting at the top of our lungs, and then we're going to come back and have more time for people to speak. So follow this lead banner.
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
All right, everybody, that was a spirited march up and down Church Street, a taste of things to come. Next, bigger, 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger for Palestine. We've got to rock this society so that the politicians, the boardrooms, and the bosses listen to our cry for justice.
Who signed the petition today? Who likes to sign the petition?
Start one in your town.
What we are trying to do here is to make the Palestinian struggle as local as possible. Palestine is part of the American politics. Palestine is your taxes. Palestine is your weapon, are your weapon, and we have to put it on the ballot. We have to talk to the public to vote for it on March 5th, and we will win. And victory to Palestine.
What's your name? Next, we have Jacob.
Hello, everyone. So happy to see you all here. Just want to bring more attention on what we can do. Simple counterculture stuff. Basically, try to avoid major tax areas. Try to avoid paying in these other areas so we don't fund the killings. And also, really come towards each other. Really help each other. We have something called the People's Kitchen. It's free food for people in need. And just donate to that so you can help others and we can make this grow even bigger because food's tasty.
Thanks, Jacob. All right, the mic is open, so please come forward. And as I said, we want it as a most diverse speakers list as possible. So it doesn't have to be a prepared speech with a bunch of slogans or anything. If you want to speak from the heart, that's just as important. So we really encourage people to come and speak their mind.
I'll do it.
Awesome. I've got your back.
My name is Sue Getty. I'm from Colombia. I would say here that like every Palestinian, every Colombian has survived war. They did. Si se puede! I'm here. Actually, last night I was reminiscing of being maybe 9 years old and laying in bed, daydreaming of being a war hero. Like, going out and murdering people because of the atrocities that I had to endure as a child. I feel like crying right now saying this. I wouldn't do that right now. I've grown up, I've learned to value human life. And I see around me so many people who are struggling to find their own humanity and the humanity in other people who just don't look like them. Earlier, oh, here it is. This beautiful, whatever this thing is called, banner. Thank you. What do we see here that is in common with every mask that the people in this banner are wearing? That they are fighting white supremacy. They are fighting white supremacy, and this entire time I haven't heard it mentioned one fucking time. What's happening in Palestine right now is just like what happened here in these lines 400 years ago. Driven by a fucking religion, based on a book, for a fucking land grab. Not even gonna apologize for my language because I'm tired of it. There's so many children who have been killed by the state of Israel, because I am not going to group Israeli people with the Israeli government, just like I will not group Hamas with the Palestinian people. But what we're fighting against is white supremacy, control and domination. This country, just like Britain, wanted a fucking foothold in the Middle East, and that's what they decided to back the Israeli people going into the Middle East. That is something that we all need to understand. When I said earlier that we all need to stop paying taxes, I actually fucking mean that, because we as US citizens have been paying taxes to fund this empire to go and do heinous shit around the world. This is not new. What's happening in Palestine is not fucking new. What we need is land back. What we need is solidarity. And what we need is to people realize that all of this is fucking white supremacy. The same white supremacy that has so many Native American women murdered, so many black people murdered. For all of us to not have fucking decent health care or drivable fucking roads. This is all connected. Sorry. I knew that I was going to lose my shit if I came up here to speak. So the last thing I'm going to say here, and I hope that you'll help me with this, is when I say land, you say back. Land! Back. Land! Back. Land! Back. Thank you.
That was great.
The people united will never be defeated. 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 Woo! So if somebody else would like to come up and speak.
Briefly say something to UVM students is that UVM has as was said before, UVM has a proud tradition of resisting apartheid. In the 80s, UVM students camped out and built a shanty town on the Waterman Green to demand divestment from this administration. And our administration today is acting against Palestinian people in the same way it acted against South Africans then. Administration is attempting to cancel the Will Miller Social Justice Lecture Series, which is happening October 26th. Next Thursday at 7 p.m. And then also, and so I just want to say, join SJP. Become involved in resisting. If you're a UVM student, we have a fucking place in this movement. And so for ways to get involved, there's 2 events that are happening. Tomorrow there is a vigil happening on the Waterman Green, 7:30 p.m. Organized by Students for Justice in Palestine, who recently reformed. Give a hand up for them. Fucking incredible fucking people. Woo! All right, sorry that was loud. Sorry that was too loud. Okay. So then next up, and then the other thing I want to shout out to is tonight at 6:30 p.m. So in 15 minutes, if you're planning on leaving here soon, there is UVM Amnesty, which has done a lot of good work on showing documentaries and educating people on campus about the oppression of the Palestinian people. Is having an event, in 15 minutes. In Vodi 205. So if you want to walk up to campus, join them to discuss Palestinian solidarity and how we can support the people of Palestine. Thank you.
I just want to explain a little more about the Will Miller Social Justice Lecture Series. So the person who's been invited is named Mohammed El Kurd. If people have not heard of him, you should read everything that he writes. He's the Nation correspondent about Palestine, and he writes for The Nation magazine, and you should follow him on Twitter, because he is reporting minute by minute about what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in the West Bank, not only the horrors, but also the resistance of people in the Middle East, in Gaza, in the West Bank, standing up against the Palestinian National Authority, which is collaborating with Israel and US imperialism, and the resistance throughout the Middle East, because people are marching in the hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East. They are terrifying the Arab and Iranian governments that have been trying to normalize relations with Israel. Think about that. That's what this is all about. They are trying to normalize an apartheid state that sits on occupied land. And most of the Arab regimes are collaborating in that process under the leadership of Joe Biden, who meets with them to try and cut a deal so that people will give up the struggle for a free Palestine. And the people of the Middle East are marching in the hundreds of thousands and saying, no way, to their own government, to the state of Israel, and to U.S. imperialism, and we are with them every step of the way, and Mohammed al-Kurd is the reporter of that. And what is being done to Mohammed al-Kurd is what is being done to Palestinians standing up and speaking out across this country and throughout the world, especially in the European countries which support the atrocities in Israel. What the Zionists have done up at UVM is write to the sociology and English departments, who are the co-sponsors of the event by the Will Miller Social Justice Lecture Series with Mohammed al-Kurd, and they're trying to get their endorsements pulled so that then Mohammed al-Kurd will not have a UVM sponsor and will not be allowed to speak at UVM. They're doing it behind the scenes through emails and a pressure campaign. Because you know why? They're too scared to do it in public. That's right. That's right. That's right. Because if they do it in public, they have to defend the genocide and admit they want to silence the reporter of that genocide. That's the stakes of this fight. So everybody should write the English department and write the sociology department and say, stick to your principles. Defend the right of Mohammed al-Kurd to speak, and everybody should turn out to hear him speak truth to power. Sure. What's your name? Crystal. Next we have Crystal.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to share a few things. So what you've surely already seen and will continue to see as this plays out more and more is you're going to try to be scared into not supporting Palestine. They're going to say, oh, but, you know, they don't support gay people there. Half the people here are gay, okay? Half the people at this protest are trans, gay. We support a free Palestine. Myself included. Woo! They're going to say, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. Half the people here are Jewish. We've had some great Jewish speakers tonight. So get out of here with that bullshit. Okay? So they're going to try to shut it down by saying, oh, this, oh, that, try to, you know, come up with some way of evading the topic. Let's get to the topic at hand. There's a genocide going on. But one more thing I want to say. You're also going to see a lot of lies. You've probably seen a bunch of videos going around, and you've seen the reactions to them. Oh, my God, can you believe 40 babies were beheaded? Joe Biden even said he saw it, and then promptly said, wait, we have to retract that because we didn't see it. So I just want to give a really quick history lesson about what's going on right now, because you're going to be pressured to say, this stuff is happening, you know, in the Middle East right now, in Palestine. Well, let me remind you of 20 years ago. In 2007, a now famous attack in Baghdad killed a bunch of journalists from Reuters. You know, we blamed that on collaterals. They said, oh, this is an enemy attack. But now in 2010, some of you might be too young for this, I'm a little older, WikiLeaks came out. We had a whole video of the thing. It was US soldiers shooting Americans. In 2004, Pat Tillman, many of you have heard of him. Right. Pat Tillman was a football player. He died in Afghanistan. The first story that hit the news, we were told this patriotic man had a promising career in football. He was killed laying down his life for his country. Except that's horseshit, because he was killed by friendly fire. I can keep going once my phone opens. All right, in 1990, the Naira testimony, some of you may remember that. That was a huge motivation for us to go into the Gulf War. Turns out, Naira was the daughter of the American diplomat to Kuwait. I can go on, but I'm gonna give 3 more examples, okay? In 2006, US troops gang raped and assaulted a 14-year-old girl, and they blamed it on Iraqi forces. That turned out to be bullshit. Thankfully, all of them are serving some time, but the whole American media thought that was the whole American media was told, oh, this is the Iraqi forces that did it. In 2004, in Fallujah, we used white phosphorus. Guess what we said? We said that we did that to illuminate the night sky. What kind of bullshit is that? And then finally, but no less important,
In 2005, the Haditha massacre was carried out by U.S. troops. They killed 24 U.S. civilians, and they said it was enemy insurgents. That was bullshit. It was trigger-happy Americans. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is to say you're going to hear these stories. You're going to be shocked into thinking there's this brutality going on in the Middle East, in Palestine, and there is. But it's not the ones that they're trying to get you to focus on. And if they're bringing those up, it's to distract you from what's going on. So what I'm trying to say is you're going to hear a lot of these stories. And as we know, yes, as many Israelis died in this as well. We're obviously not saying we want any innocent people to die. But what we are saying is when we do it, we lie about it, we cover it up, we hide it. But then when the other side does it, oh, it's brutality, it's monstrosity. So fuck that.
The great Jewish anti-Zionist civil rights leader Howard Zinn, author of People's History of the United States. If you haven't read that, you should read that book and read the real history of this country, born in chattel slavery, genocide, exploitation, and barbarity. That's what birthed the United States. He said right after 9/11, when he spoke up at UVM before a crowd of 1,000 people, in the chapel up at UVM, he said, governments lie. Governments lie about everything, about who the problem is and what the solution is. They lie about what they do, how they do it, when they do it, and to whom. They lie all the time because they have to protect a society where the top 1% own and control absolutely everything and have a police force and a military to enforce that domestically and internationally. And that is the world we live in. That's what this struggle is really all about, because the freedom of Palestine is bound up with our freedom. Really concretely, who trains the police of the United States? Israel. The IDF. They go on tours to Israel. Israeli soldiers and cops come and train U.S. cops, including Burlington, the UVM police. They all collaborate together. It's an international gangster operation. So governments lie. And they lie because they have to cover up what they do to maintain that inequality. And what Crystal said about white phosphorus, what is Israel doing? They're using white phosphorus in Gaza. They're incinerating people in Gaza with a ban. And they lied exactly, Crystal. They lied exactly right after it, like they're trying to lie their way out of blowing up the hospital. So next we have Allie, come on up.
Hi. So as the wonderful individual who was up here earlier mentioned about white supremacy being at the core of all of this, I, as a white woman, would love to call upon all of my fellow white individuals to use that. If you are white, we have a responsibility to do something with that privilege. Our voices, as fucked up as it is, are going to be louder. They're going to be heard more. So use that. We have an obligation to use our voices for the people who can't, for the people who are scared that their voices are going to be turned against them. The things that are going to happen as a backlash are going to mean nothing to us compared to what they're going to mean for our friends who are not citizens, for our friends who are people of color. We do not face the same backlash for speaking up as anyone else. So use that. Yell, scream, say everything. Amplify the voices. Don't speak louder than them, but make them louder. Use the privilege that you have and talk to the people in your life that are also white and are not listening. Because the sad reality is they are going to listen to us more than they are going to listen to anyone else who is someone of a marginalized community. That is the horrible reality of it, but it's the only chance we have at possibly making anyone listen. So use your privilege, speak up, and try to do something.
Next we have Carlos coming up. Carlos, right?
Yeah, we'll both. I'm
Okay.
stand next to him. Yeah.
All right. One thing that's extremely important is
the U.S. has sold F-35s to Israel. You know where the F-35 is based? Here in Burlington, Vermont. There is something on the ballot that you need to hear about.
Oh, hey. So I'm here with Dan. I'm gonna pass him the phone after, or like, you know, if, as you can probably tell, like English isn't my first language. I'm from Peru. I speak Spanish. Like, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Yeah, I'm always like, it's so weird to like find other people from South America or other countries here in Burlington sometimes. I think like Vermont isn't what, like the second whitest state in America. Like, I just get excited, sorry, just had to put that out there. But like, I just wanna say that like all global, like I would like to see that all the global South is united, you know, like I feel like we like share the struggle, and just really wanted to put that out there. Oh, and before I forget also, I don't understand like how people can both side this situation, and that they always do that shit. Like it's like, stop both sides. Like there is no both sides in this story. Like please just don't do it. Like, I mean, if you wanna like put it in perspective, all right, so like remember the kid that got bullied in high school, all right, and then you will think of, oh, maybe like, you know, the big bully in high school, but no, it's more like McGregor, like an MMA fighter. That's how you can like both sides. Like, I mean, like, have you seen the budget for the military in Israel? Like, there's no both sides. Like, there's no like Democrats, Republicans. Please, no, stop. That just does not work. I don't remember what else I wanted to say, man. Dan, can you mind filling me in? And if I remember, I'm gonna, yeah.
Give it up for Carlos. Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Castrogano. I live in Burlington. I organize with a group called Safe Landing BTV. We resist the airport. We resist the endless growth of the airport. We resist capitalism. We resist wealth inequality. We resist private jets. We call on the immediate banning of private jets, and in general, resisting the endless growth to protect people and to protect human lives. In particular, we are calling for the immediate abolishment of the F-35s. And we have been fighting for this, and we are part of the group that got the resolution passed on July 24th, and want to tell you about an event that is happening this Monday. If you are unaware, on October 9th, Moreau and Karen Paul and Nick Longo and all of them did something very shady and very sneaky and very fucked up. In executive session, it said capital expenditures, and it was hidden. And what they want to do, this is with an 11-day window coming up to Monday, is they want to extend the lease with the Vermont Air National Guard and the U.S. Air Force by 25 years to the year 2073. Not a joke, literally 2073, basically a blanket MOU where they have leased our land. This is our airport, and it is owned and operated by the city of Burlington. This is our fucking airport. And we don't want the fucking F-35s there because they are weapons of war that kill human beings. So in this sneaky, underhanded, hidden agenda with no public input, with an 11-day lead time leading up to Monday, they want to give a blanket 25-year lease. Fuck no, we need to get the F-35s out of the airport, or away from the airport. We don't need F-35s. Abolish the F-35s. They should be grounded. They're death machines that kill human beings. So there's a rally at the other end of Church Street at 6 p.m. on Monday, and be there, and then that's the vote, where they're gonna vote, and they're gonna say, are we gonna extend this by 25 years or not? I mostly work in the climate space, and for those who mostly work in the climate space, I urge you to engage in this struggle and fight for Palestinian liberation, because this is a struggle that all of us have to engage in. So thank you.
Those same people are the society.
Okay. Just think, I'm on one of the many flight paths of the F-35, and every morning around 9 or 10, they fly over where I live, and it's deafening. And I cannot imagine what it's like to be in Gaza right now, when you've got missiles, airplanes, the thunder of bombs. Imagine being a child. I think of the children in Winooski who are directly under the flight path of those weapons of mass destruction that the Burlington Airport hosts.
And that's tiny in comparison to what the children of Gaza are being subjected to. So everybody who can should turn out and stop that lease from being extended, because that's an extension of the lease here that enables them to do the atrocities abroad. The war is very much at home. You cannot separate any of these questions. Every single local question is a global question, especially when it comes to the United States, because the U.S. practically runs the world with its economy, with its dollar, with its guns, with its military, and with its corporations. So all these fights are international. What's your name? Kai. Next we have Kai.
Hello. I didn't really prepare anything, so bear with me. I'm a first-generation Moroccan American. Louder? Okay. I'm a first-generation Moroccan American. So when I see those children and those people, I see my little sisters, I see my little brother, I see my grandfather, I see my father, I see my grandmother, I see my entire family. So seeing all of these people here tonight to support Palestinian people gives me some hope. But do not stop. Do not ever stop. I've seen online a lot of people calling to look away for your own mental health. Yeah. Take care of yourself. When these people are listening to the loudest noises we here in Burlington experience on a weekly basis for hours and hours on end, but they don't get to sleep through it knowing that it's just going over them. They're constantly terrified. All I can say is support one another, because I know it's hard to look at these victims being killed every single day, but you need to keep being loud, keep showing up for these people. Otherwise, they're alone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Joe. Next we have Joe. Sorry, I'm only getting first names. Introduce yourself.
Thanks, I'm Joe. So tonight we chanted that we don't want to give the Israeli government our tax dollars anymore. The Burlington City Council considered this topic in 2021. There was a vote. It wouldn't have been a binding resolution, I believe, that would have actually divested your tax dollars, but it would have been support for BDS. It did not win. The progressives were supportive of it. The Democrats were not supportive of it in general. And since then, the issue has faded locally. We have not seen pressure really on the Progressive Party. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware that there's going to be a mayoral campaign kicking off. The first candidate announced the other day, Emma Mulvaney-Stanek, and we should all apply pressure, figure out where she's speaking and when, try to make her take a stance on this issue. And
find your donors.
And we should also put pressure on the progressive city councilors, Joe McGee, Zariah Hightower, Gene Bergman. I may be missing others, but I haven't seen any of them at any of these events this week related to Palestinian solidarity. There were elected officials at the state level, at the local level, at the pro-Zionism event on Sunday. So if we want to get our tax dollars out of supporting Israel, and that could be something I think that spreads to other localities around the country and could be constructive, we need to put pressure on the progressives and not let them coast to victory on the things that they have been running on, which have not been this issue. Thank you.
I think that's extremely important. This mayoral campaign, like every political campaign, we should put a test before every single candidate. Where do you stand on Palestine? Are you with Palestinians or are you with the genocide? It's that simple. And we have to make it that simple. And they all have to take a stand. And if they don't, we have to ask them why. Why will you not stand? Because I went with Wafiq and all of us did in the Burlington City Council, and we saw their underhanded tactics, especially the Democratic Party and Muriel Weinberger, undermining a resolution against apartheid Israel. So we have to make sure every election, local, state, and federal, Palestine is a central question, because you cannot separate Palestine from all the other questions. The F-35 makes it that simple. It's the same fighter bomber in our airport and in Israel. It's that simple, and everybody has to be put to the test. Next, we've got Alex, and then Wafiq.
Okay, so I don't have any sort of particular group to advertise, nor can I tell you anything new than what everyone else has already told you. Within the last week, I have been more educated on Palestine than I have in my entire 4 years of college. It is amazing how much I've learned, but it's terrifying how much I don't know. And the thing that I see more than anything else across all my feed, all my social media, I see it in all my friends, my family, I see them turning their heads. I see everyone scared, believing that they are helpless, everyone believing that there's terrible people in this world who are going to stop you from being able to do the right thing. And it's true, there's a lot to fight against, especially in this country, but there's no more to fight against than what the Palestinians are fighting against right now, and they're so much younger than I am. And so I really want to say this to all of my generation, Generation Z, to the younger people out there, people younger than me, that you are not alone, that you are not fighting this alone, that you don't have to do this alone. This doesn't have to be this way, that we should all come together to fight, not just for the Palestinians, for the rights of everyone, everywhere. Everyone deserves the right to live.
Thanks so much. Right before Wafiq, we've got Mohammed. Here, give it up to Mohammed.
Hello, everybody. So I believe it was 76 years ago. 76 years ago, a nation was created, and that nation only brought pain and just more pain as it progressed and became well established. And this nation that I'm referring to is Israel. It is a modern colonial nation.
That's right.
We have to call it what it is. It is a colonial nation. And because it is a colonial nation, we cannot try to judge how people react to a colonial nation. The Palestinians have been there well before Israel was created.
That's right. That's right.
And then now we want to say they're the terrorist. How can you come to somebody's territory, establish a nation, then try to judge how they react to oppression?
That's right.
That makes no sense. Now, we chant, silence is violence. What does that mean? That means that you will be judged for your silence, as well as what you do. So, when you know that there's oppression happening and you don't do anything about it, do you think that you're not playing a part in letting that oppression continue? Do you think you're not playing any part? Because the moment you step up and call that oppression what it is, then you're playing your part in making this world more peaceful. And I think we can all step up. And if we all step up, I think we can definitely bring change.
That's right.
As we know, the media is doing its thing, telling us that what is going on is that the Palestinians are the people who are the terrorists. That's what it's telling us. But we shouldn't be surprised, because it was saying the same thing about black people.
That's right.
It was saying the same things about Native Americans. Now, those individuals who were executed, that are gone, they will never come back. The Native Americans, they're gone. They will never come back. Now, right now, we have Palestinians who are dying. Do you think we can ever see those people come back to life? They won't come back. So why aren't we doing anything about it then? If we know that once a Palestinian is dead and there's no coming back, then why aren't we doing anything to try to prevent the genocide? We are seeing a live genocide. That's what's going on right now. So I do believe that certainly if we come together and we call things what it is, as I said, Israel is a colonial nation. I did not hesitate. It is a colonial nation. We must stand up and call things what they are. And we must also stand up and also support the people who are being colonized, the Palestinians.
That's right.
So I hope we do better moving forward as human beings and try to stand up for those who need to be amplified, those who need people to stand up for them, because right now we're not worried about the bombings that are happening. We're not worried about just at any moment we could all die. We're not worried about these things because we're not under colonial rule. However, there are people who are suffering right now, and I do believe that we can certainly do something about it. There were some people that came before me that tried to provide ways in which we can support these individuals, and I think we should definitely follow through, because a lot of times what happens is we say that we're going to do it, but when it comes back down to it, we go back home as if it's not happening. So we got to be able to understand that we are playing a part in this genocide if we don't do anything about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohammed. Just if you haven't gotten on April's digital sign-up sheet, I don't know if April, make sure you get on the list because we want everybody's contact information so we can organize bigger, better, larger, more militant demonstrations, civil disobediences, and actions like this. Next, we have Charlie from CCTV, the people's cameraman, who's going to talk about how you can watch this rally.
Okay, so I'm Charlie, CCTV, Town Meeting Television, Public Access Television. And so, for instance, last evening and this evening, so we're recording things at CCTV, and if you want to watch it again, or if you want to send the link all over the world, because that's what happens to these things, they end up going all over the world, all you got to do is go cctv.org and search by the date. So everything that we recorded today is going to come up on a list. So today's event will be on the 18th? 18th. And then last night there was a similar event on the 17th. So if you search those two dates, you'll see CCTV and cctv.org, search by the date, and you'll be able to send this to everyone that you'd like. Thank you.
Give it up to Charlie. At every demonstration, Charlie's there with his camera. Next, to conclude our rally today, we've got Wafiq Faour.
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Let the people of the Palestinian hear us from here. Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Thank you for everyone who's standing for us and with us. Please stand with us. Stand with us. We need you. Stand with us.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Okay, this is the beginning, not the end. The people in Palestine are resisting. We have to stand shoulder to shoulder with them and millions around the world who will not tolerate and let this genocide happen. We will say no to a second Nakba. We will defend the right of Palestinians to live in their country, to return to their homes, to return to their homelands and live in a free, democratic, secular, and equal Palestine where Jews and Arabs and everyone can live in equality. That's the dream we are fighting for. A free Palestine, an equal Palestine, a liberated Palestine. If we win that, we will liberate the world. So get on the digital sign-up sheet. We will be in touch. We are going to organize. We are going to mobilize to D.C., to Montpelier, all across this country, and fight till we win a free Palestine. Thank you, everybody.